So, what is a statistic? I've got three definitions for you. I don't think our book ever defines what a statistic is. They tell us that a summary statistic is a single number that summarizes a large amount of data. But summarization is only one aspect of statistics. The definition I was taught was that a statistic is any number that you can compute from a sample. So, like Wikipedia says, any quantity that you can get by applying a mathematical function to the values in a sample can be called a statistic. And here's a definition from one of my graduate texts. It's more complicated, but it's saying essentially the same thing. Take a sample from some population and apply some mathematical function to it. And the function is real valued, so it puts out a number. And the value of that number is called the statistic. Maybe by the end of this course, this definition will make more sense to you. For now, think of a statistic as being a number computed from a sample. And here are some examples. You have the sample mean, the sample median. Hopefully you've seen some of these before. Notice we don't need to have numerical data to make a statistic. If your data is a bunch of yeses and nos, then the proportion of yeses can be a statistic. The t-stat is something that we'll get into later, but it comes from applying a complicated function to the sample. Notice how I said sample mean, sample median, sample this, sample that. That's because I want to distinguish a sample from a population. A sample is a subset of a population. Just as we compute a statistic from a sample, we compute a parameter from a population. For example, say you want to know the average height of everyone in the US. If you could measure everyone in the population and find the average height, that average would be a parameter, and we would denote it with a Greek letter, in this case mu for mean. More likely, you wouldn't be able to measure everybody. You'd have to take a sample of maybe 100 people and average their heights. In that case, what you would have would be a sample mean, which is a statistic. So this is a statistic. This is a parameter. And the idea is that statistics estimate parameters. What do we do with statistics? We summarize data. Data sets can be big. Maybe we can convey most of the information in them with one number or a few numbers. Drawing graphs, visualization, that's another way to summarize data. We might try to predict the values of new observations based on the data we have. And this is something we'll see more of when we study regression. And we infer. Inference is about going from sample to population, and it's what we'll be doing for the majority of the course. All the hypothesis testing we do, the normal test, the binomial test, t-test, chi-square, all that, it's about using the sample to make probabilistic statements about the population.